My name is Susan Mason. I'm so grateful and happy to have all of you here today. I am the director of the Intuit Financial Freedom Foundation, which is the chief sponsor for the Tax Time Allies campaign. Tax Time Allies is a growing movement of national, state, and local nonprofits, coalitions, and associations, companies like mine, and individual volunteers from across the country who are united in one goal, and that's to help taxpayers take advantage of the IRS's free taxpayer assistance programs, VITA, Free File, and tax counseling for the elderly. Intuit is one of 9 companies that donate our tax software through the IRS and state free file programs. And we are a very proud cheerleader and funder for the national network, the mighty national network of local VITA programs. In fact, many of those VITA programs are on the call with us today, and they were also in the picture montage that you just saw. So if you were from San Francisco, San Diego, Philadelphia, Camden, New Jersey, New York City, the Twin Cities, Detroit, or Chicago, your community was highlighted in that video. And if they weren't, I promise you there are programs just like it in your community too. So we have planned the session today specifically for those of you who manage constituent services for Congress and for state houses. We know how hard you work on behalf of your constituents. And while taxes may not be anyone's favorite topic, and Intuit, we believe preparing a tax return, and we believe that most of the allies believe this as well, is that preparing a tax return is core to everyone's financial lives, and doing them for free and with confidence can be a life changer. And you are the trusted messengers in your community. And we are hoping that this session can motivate and equip you to use your megaphone, to use your communication channels to help us amplify 3 messages to the public. First, file your taxes. Second, use the new look back rule to get the biggest refund possible. And 3, use IRS-sponsored free taxpayer assistance programs. Over the next 45 minutes, you'll hear more about each of these key messages and the resources that are available to help you help taxpayers. First up will be a chat with 2 of the nation's leading tax time allies, Rebecca Thompson from Prosperity Now and Nancy Mathis from the IRS. We'll then bring up Tim Plotke, who is the Executive Director of Commonwealth, who will walk us through the work he and his partners at Save Your Life and Neighborhood Trust have done to help communicate with taxpayers about navigating the EITC look back. And then we'll issue a call to action where we need your help to spread the word and what we can do to help you. And we'll wrap up with a few words from the most important people, the taxpayers themselves who have benefited from the IRS programs and what they have to say about that experience. And then we'll close out with a Q&A session with you. Now, throughout the webinar, please submit your questions in the Q&A at the bottom of your screen, and we will do our best to respond to them today or in a follow-up email. So let's jump right in with my friends Nancy and Rebecca Thompson. So you both have your videos on. It looks like you also have your audio on, so that's excellent. Nancy is the Communications LinkedIn Administrator for the IRS, and Rebecca is the Director of Field Engagement and the Taxpayer Opportunity Network at Prosperity Now. So my first question is to you, Nancy. I've talked about the IRS has 3 distinct programs to help low and moderate income taxpayers prepare and file their taxes for free. And that's, of course, VITA, Free File, and tax counseling for the elderly. Can you tell us about each of these programs, how they're different and how they complement each other?
Sure, Susan. First of all, thanks for the invitation to appear today. And also, just, we're very much aware at the IRS that millions of Americans are struggling right now and really depending on us to get their refund out as fast as possible. And that's what we want to do. And part of that, of course, is for them to file a refund and claim the full amount of refund that they're due. And to keep as much of it as they can. And that there are three basic ways to do that through IRS and its partnerships. And the first one is called Free File. That's a 18, 19-year-old program that's a partnership between the IRS and private sector partners, the tax preparation software industry. We have 9 products in English, 1 in Spanish. This is all online. And if you make $72,000 or less, you're eligible for one of those products. And that's the 72,000 equals 70% of the nation's taxpayers. So we cover most of the waterfront on that product. If you make more than $72,000, we have another flavor of Free File called Free File Fillable Forms, which is the electronic version of IRS paper forms. It's a little more static. It's not quite as easy to use as the online products that use a question and answer format that if you do your own taxes, you're probably familiar with. Last year, we saw a big increase in Free File use to 4.1 million. So we're really proud of that and hoping to keep that momentum going. The other, and some people aren't comfortable doing their own taxes, and they may feel more comfortable having a little more assistance. The IRS has a long-standing partnership of about 50 years with community organizations nationwide. It's called VITA, Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. Anyone who makes $57,000 or less can go to a VITA site, and a volunteer will help them do their tax return for free. Many of these places now, because of COVID, may have a kind of a virtual setup as opposed to an in-person one-on-one kind of setup. It kind of depends. We have the tax counseling for the elderly. That's an IRS partnership with the AARP. That is a program that's available to anyone who's 60 and older. So we've kind of segmented out different incomes and different ages, but if you need free tax assistance, one of these 3 can help you out.
Well, that's excellent, Nancy. Thank you so much. Now, Rebecca and I have been partners on this roadshow for a long time. Rebecca, tell us about Prosperity Now and the network of VITAs that you lead. And while you're doing this, please share some of the outstanding innovations and program retrofits that VITAs created last year in record time and then have carried over to this tax season so that they were ready to continue to serve.
Absolutely. Hi, Susan, and hi, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. It's great to be here today. And then let me just pause and say thank you again, Susan, to you and the Intuit Financial Freedom Foundation for your ongoing support of the Taxpayer Opportunity Network and Prosperity Now. Mm-hmm. So at Prosperity Now, our mission is to ensure that everyone has a clear path to financial stability, wealth, and prosperity. We are building a path to a fair and just economy that is free from structural inequity and racism. So in support of our mission, the Taxpayer Opportunity Network serves as the national convening body for a community of over 7,000 members that includes VITA partners, practitioners, volunteers, and a wealth of other stakeholders. So last year, just about this time, as the pandemic hit during the height of the filing season, the vast majority of our partners actually had to close their site due to public health concerns. And you were right, Susan, our partners quickly assessed, they developed, and they implemented a variety of safe options to continue to serve clients even during the pandemic. These options ran the gamut from the fully virtual getyourrefund.org platform to drop-off services to providing services in limited spaces and by appointment only. Our partners use all manner of tech platforms, including Jotform, Google Meet, texting, email, and I'm sure there are others that I am not aware of and cannot remember, to communicate with clients and to continue to prepare returns even during the pandemic. I'm proud to say that between March and October, we were actually able to prepare and file another 200,000 returns, which still fell short of what we normally do, but that was really a great accomplishment during the midst of such challenging and trying times. But as it often happens when you try to build a plane while you're flying it, there were many lessons that we learned during the 2020 filing season, the extended filing season, that I've carried forward into this filing season, including the recognition of the need for programs to offer a menu of service delivery options to really accommodate the varying taxpayer and volunteer needs as well. And we look forward as we work through this filing season to see what challenges come up and what lessons we'll learn this year.
You look forward to that. I guess you never waste a crisis, and you always learn from them. And that's what that network did. Nancy, back to you. At Tax Time Allies, we enthusiastically, and some would accuse me of aggressively, promoting the IRS to Go mobile app as a one-stop shop for taxpayers. What do you want people to know on this call about that app, and why should everyone have it on their phones?
It's called IRS to Go. And it's a few years old now, but you can get it at your general app stores, Google, Amazon, Apple. We've got 15 million active users per year, so it's getting a lot of use. From the app, you can go to Free File. There's a free tax services portion. You can get to Free File. You can get to the VITA site locator, which Rebecca and I haven't talked about yet, but is a way to find a site, volunteer site near you. And you can also use it to check on your refund. Use the Where's My Refund tool on irs.gov. And if you owe money, you can even check and see into the payment options and actually make a payment from your phone.
Yeah, it is the best thing. Whenever I talk about what I do and the programs that I work with, nerd that I am, I pull up my IRS to Go app and say, that's what I'm a part of. That's what Intuit is a part of.
And here's another great thing about the app and the Free File pages on irs.gov. They're all mobile whatever. You can use your mobile phone or your tablet. You don't need a computer to actually use Free File to do your taxes online. You can use your phone and get everything done.
That's excellent. And this is my last question to you all. And Nancy, you kind of alluded to it already. How is it that people on this call can find the community-based organizations that are there to serve? I think we often talk in our teams about VITAs are the great unknown. If more people knew about them and the excellent work that they do, the world would be a better place, and tax time would be a lot easier, and people would have more control of their financial lives by doing their taxes this way. How is it that people can find these organizations, both TCE and VITAs, if they don't already have a relationship with them?
Well, from our website or from the phone app that we were just discussing, you will end up at irs.gov/VITA, VITA, and there's a site locator, a locator tool on that page, and you can put in your zip code, and I think that's all you need, and it's kind of how far out you want to drive, 5, 10, 50 miles, whatever, and it will find all of the VITA TCE sites within your location. If you don't have internet access, and I'm just going to look away so I can read this number correctly, there's a automated phone line you can call at 800-906-9887. And from that number, you can do the same thing. You can put in your zip code and it will give you a list of addresses where you can find a VITA site. On Free File, you can just go to irs.gov/freefile and get started right there. There are tools that will help you depending on your age, income, state, location. It will help you find the product that's right for you.
Excellent. And Rebecca, anything you want to add to finding a local VITA or a TCE?
I would encourage, particularly for our Hill staff and the district offices, hopefully they already have a relationship with their local VITA partner. If not, this is definitely a great opportunity to reach out to your local community organizations and forge that relationship, because there are a lot of resources and information that our VITA partners have, and they can provide folks with assistance and coaching to help them navigate the do-it-yourself process if needed, but then also provide that additional assistance, in-person assistance, as well as other resources to help people understand how to navigate their finances during these challenging times, and to save some of their refund actually for down the road. So reach out to your local partner.
Well,
and go ahead.
Go ahead, Rebecca. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
If not, we'll have them reach out to you.
Okay. And one thing that everybody needs to know is many of you will be celebrating St. Patrick's Day on March 17th, but you should also be celebrating National Vita Day. So since it's a great day to celebrate, Irish or not, celebrate National Vita Day. So Nancy and Rebecca, thank you so much. You'll be back on with our Q&A session at the end. So as Nancy and Rebecca go off camera and we bring up Tim Flockey to talk about how this is a tax season like no other, I just want to acknowledge that thanks to Rebecca and to Nancy, Prosperity Now and the IRS, and the very mighty network of community-based VITA programs, this tax season really is just like every other one. Once again, free file VITA and tax counseling for the elderly are available to serve, and not even a global pandemic or an economic crisis could stop them. And I think it's on all of us to help as many people as possible use them. So Tim, you're on camera and your microphone is on. Life is good.
Thanks, Susan.
So I want to introduce Tim, who is the Executive Director of Commonwealth. Commonwealth, along with Saver Life and Neighborhood Trust, sounded the alarm months ago about the impact of unemployment income was going to have on taxpayers claiming the earned income EITC. Let's just go with that. Once Congress passed a fix to it, the look back rules, these three organizations just sprang into action to create a rapid response coalition to build awareness among taxpayers with messaging that would resonate with them. So Tim is going to share what they've learned, what they've done, and the tools that are available to all of us. So with Tim, I'm going to go off camera and give you the full screen.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Susan. And just to say it again, this tax season and getting tax refunds in particular is just so important to really millions of families. And so the people on this call today and all of you who are listening, who are taking time to pay attention to it, I really salute you, because it makes a huge difference in real families' lives. Briefly, Commonwealth is a national nonprofit building financial security and opportunity for financially vulnerable people. And we do that through innovation and partnerships. And let's go on to the next slide. Part of doing that work, which we've now been doing for 2 decades, is just constantly being out talking to real people and families about what's happening in their lives. And amidst so much else happening last year, one thing that we started to realize is that massive unemployment in 2020, as Susan already said. I looked it up. Pew tells us that at least 20 million people have been unemployed last year, was going to have this consequence that probably few people were really anticipating. And the consequence was going to be a gutting of the earned income tax credit and, to a lesser extent, the child tax credit. And what that was going to mean is that we did some modeling, for some families, their refunds were going to be 80%, up to 80% smaller than what they were used to and what we had strong reason to believe would be expecting. And you think about everything that had happened through the course of 2020, and we know from long experience, many households really look forward to and anticipate and wait for those refunds to arrive at that point in February or March and discover they were dramatically smaller, really would have been catastrophic. And as it says up here on the slide, the issue is that unemployment insurance, while really important, does not qualify as earned income for these tax credits, and it is also taxable. Let's go on to the next slide. And as we looked at it and did this modeling, a profile emerged of who was most at risk. And you might guess it's households, so families with kids who experienced underemployment or unemployment in 2020. Really the most impacted were households who would have ordinarily made under $30,000, which is roughly half of the median, although it extended higher up the income range. And it's worth calling out that that audience is disproportionately led by women of color. And so what we realized was that really millions of households were at risk. Let's go on to the next slide. The good news is that this is one that Congress really just really came through on. And in the bill that passed on December 21st and was signed, I think, right before the end of the year, a sort of a little known provision, perhaps little known, called a look back was included. And what this does is it's elegantly simple. It means that for the purposes of determining EITC and CTC eligibility, households could look at either their 2020 earned income or their 2019 earned income. So what that means is that if people know about it and can use this look back provision, they should be able to get refunds much more in line with their typical tax refunds. But it's a truism. If you don't know about it and you don't take advantage of it, it won't produce the impact that we believe Congress had in mind. So the two key messages I hope that you take away from this are taxpayers should ask their preparers or their software package about this look back. They may not have all the details, but they should simply raise it up to make sure that whoever is helping them, or if they're doing it themselves, they have figured out if the look back applies. And the second key message is to bring your 2019 tax information, tax return with you to that tax filing appointment. You can't use the look back if you don't know what your 2019 earned income was, and that would be in those 2019 records. Let's go on to the next slide. So what we did, as Susan mentioned, once we saw this coming, we knew that if Congress were to act, it would be super important to get the word out. So we've actually built a dedicated website. You can see the URL, taxtimecrisis.org, with really two audiences in mind. One is tax filers, but even more important are the organizations that serve them, many of which I think are participating on this webinar today. And we did this in close partnership with two leading organizations that we've known for years and really serve this audience of working families, and that would be Neighborhood Trust and Save Your Life. Let's go on to the last slide, or near last slide. So what you will find on that taxtimecrisis.org website is messaging. And as I think Susan alluded to, we worked really hard talking to over 300 target tax filers to test out. We actually had 6 different frames we tested to describe this look back concept, and have distilled out the findings of that testing to come up with the most effective messages. Some of them are on the screen here, but I'd strongly encourage you to go to taxtimecrisis.org and download this messaging yourself. It's in a format where you can cut and paste to social media or embed in a newsletter or whatever tool you might use to communicate with constituents or clients. Let's go to the last slide. So I just want to close by emphasizing this is a really wonderful story of Congress seeing a challenge and producing an elegant solution. And the challenge now is to make sure that people find out and take advantage of it. And it can mean thousands of dollars of differences, or a difference of thousands of dollars in families' tax refunds. So I would ask for your help in making sure we get the word out. Thank you.
Tim, thank you so much. And thank you also to Neighborhood Trust and Save Your Life for this incredibly thoughtful work that you all have done. I have loved seeing your name and Justine's and Lee's name pop up in messaging in USA Today and CNBC and other news outlets. This work is really important, it's appreciated, and more importantly, it's being used. So thank you. So now we go back to where we began, which is our call to action to you all, the 3 messages that we need your help to share, to repeat, and then share again with the people you work so hard to serve. So the 3 messages that we are trying to get out there are: file your taxes, use the look back rule to get the biggest possible refund, and use IRS free taxpayer assistance programs. Now, the first message, file your taxes, seems pretty simple, but unfortunately, many people who don't owe or who aren't expecting a refund typically don't file a return. But as we saw this last year, a tax return is key to getting the economic stimulus payment more quickly. And as Nancy said, it could also be an opportunity to find a tax credit or a refund that people just didn't know that they're eligible for. Second, use the new look back rule. As Tim said, Tim gave us, I love that, an elegant solution that can help take the sting out of the economic impact of COVID. And we want everyone to know about it, how to look for it, how to ask for it when preparing their returns. Commonwealth Saver Life and Neighborhood Trust gave us messaging that works, so let's use it. Finally, in COVID times and in non-COVID times, which is hopefully just around the corner for all of us, all eligible taxpayers need to know about and to know how to use the IRS free taxpayer assistance programs. April 15th is a little over a month away, and given VITA's and TCE's commitment to keeping people safe by providing limited contact services, we want to urge those who need the most hands-on help to look into those services now and to make appointments. For everyone else, we want to encourage them to try to file on their own with one of the software products available through Free File. It does not have to be ours. We would love it if they chose to use ours, but we just want them to use it. Last year, actually, Free File experienced a 50% year-over-year increase in the number of people it served because, as Rebecca said, VITA's and TCE programs had to close unexpectedly. And so they and others started recommending Free File, and we saw people take it up and use it. People who didn't think they could actually did use it. So it's one thing to tell you, please use these messages. It's another to make sure that we make it easy for you to use. So as you see in the chat, Ilsa has listed in the chat box links to the websites that we've mentioned: taxtimeallies.org, taxtimecrisis.org, and irs.gov/VITA. And please don't forget to also include in that the IRS to Go mobile app. These sites provide program locators, downloadable messaging, and videos that you can plug and play into your newsletters, websites, and social media. And we've also provided in the chat, or will, a sample tweet that you can use this second, the minute you get off this call. And remember, this isn't one and done. Please keep the drumbeat going in the days and weeks ahead. So now that you've heard from the experts, and before we go to the Q&A, I want to give the last word to taxpayers, the most important people in this conversation. So what we're going to put up on the screen is a short video of taxpayers who have used these IRS taxpayer assistance programs, and they're sharing their thoughts on what the experience was like. So I'll go off screen and we'll show the video.
Man, taxes is a headache.
Filing taxes, or the process of filing taxes, is sort of like a boogeyman.
I went to someone in the neighborhood to do my taxes and received a lot of fees that I really didn't understand.
Filing my taxes was definitely pretty scary.
I was hesitant in the beginning filing my taxes because I was afraid that I wasn't going to get as much money back if I hired a professional to file for me. But I did it for free and I was satisfied.
And it wasn't as stressful, as I thought it was going to be. I'm like, this isn't bad at all. I should have been doing this if I'd known it was this easy. It's like I was taking power and they didn't have the power. Now I'm doing it.
I'm doing it myself, and I've learned more about taxes through the questions that are prompted. Definitely empowered because I did my taxes myself.
I was going to do my taxes, learn how to do it so I don't need to depend on my parents or anyone else. It makes you more confident because you're understanding what's going on.
First of all, it's free, so it's the best part. And second of all, it's so easy.
When I got to the end, it said charge, 0, and click submit. Whew, that was it, 0 charge.
There's no reason to pay for a professional, tax preparer. We can do the same service, without paying. A lot of accountants are gonna hate me for that.
You get the same money, that's the best part.
Well, my favorite part about that video is always Linda, who said they had the power, now I have the power. She is my patron saint of taxpayer assistance, because that's really what it's all about, giving people the tools to prepare and file their returns for free and with confidence. And whether they prepare it on their own with one of the products that's available through Free File, or they work with a volunteer at VITA or tax counseling for the elderly, this puts them in charge of their financial lives, and they have the power. So enough for me. Now what we want to do is turn all the lights back on and have a Q&A session with you. We've got about 15 minutes. And I believe Ilsa, so if we can have Tim and Nancy and Rebecca turn your screens back on. Excellent. And then Ilsa, can you give us the questions that have come in?
Sure. First question. The VITA sites that are in my district do not have any appointments available. How is VITA conducting interviews? Virtually, in person, in other ways?
And Rebecca, I'm going to let you take that on, and then Nancy.
So this is what we're seeing a lot, that our clients and our VITA sites are booked. Most of the partners are booked through mid-March, maybe the end of March. If there are not any appointments available really close by, I would suggest that you look at the IRS VITA locator, but then there's also an opportunity to reach out to that partner. A lot of partners are conducting interviews either over the phone, a very short interview in person, less than 15 minutes, social distance, with no contact, but most of them are happening virtually or over the phone. But I would definitely encourage you to reach out to your partner or check the IRS VITA locator to see if there's another option that's close by.
Nancy, anything you want to add?
Just to echo, I would definitely call in advance and see what their procedure is, because it may, our locator is only as good as the information that we have, so there might be a little lag. So you definitely want to call in advance.
Excellent. And then also to consider Free File as an option if they can't get that appointment. Ilsa, next question.
Could you comment on how the IRS was able to repurpose the versatile Free File platform to allow underserved Americans to claim the EIP under the CARES Act? Are there any other plans for adapting Free File to respond to COVID challenges?
We are positioning Free File this year as the kind of online solution, especially for non-filers or any other people who are eligible for the, it's now called the Recovery Rebate Credit. If you didn't get all of the economic impact payment, you can now claim the balance through the Recovery Rebate Credit. And the thought process behind using Free File online was that more people may be eligible for additional tax credits than just the recovery rebate credit. Some people who may not have a filing requirement may still be eligible, may still have earned income, and may still be eligible for like the earned income tax credit or some of these other very beneficial credits that can help them out in these kind of times.
Excellent. Ilsa, any other questions?
Sure. Yep. How do people without computers or smartphones access help?
This raises a very important issue that was one of the lessons that we learned last filing season as our VITA partners worked with community organizations to reach those who are the hardest to reach in our communities. And so for those who don't have access to technology, I think the best option is actually through the local community partner organizations where they might be receiving services who are connected to the VITA programs themselves. And like I mentioned earlier, the other lesson was that VITA programs realized that they needed to have a menu of options available. And so from the do-it-yourself to fully virtual to limited appointment only and drop-off models, our partners have a menu of options to accommodate the various needs of the clients and the volunteers.
Nancy, anything you want to add?
Well, just that we do have the telephone number, and let me just read that again.
We'll send it as a follow-up.
Okay.
It's on the slide. We'll absolutely make sure that.
Yeah, that people can call and find a location near them. That would be one way. But again, a free file also is available if you just have a smartphone. You can do your taxes online.
And as Rebecca said, one of the things that we learned this year is the digital divide is still there. We thought we had passed that mark, but we haven't. And I think that's something we all need to work on. Ilsa, any other questions? I don't want to leave Tim thinking he doesn't get a question.
Yeah, we have one for Tim. Yeah. And then we have one or two more after that. So if we can only share or promote one message around the look back rule, what would you recommend? It seems like this will be really confusing to people.
Yeah, I'll stretch it into two. Ask, even if you only have part of it, right? Even the phrase look back or something about the EITC. We know that it's been obviously just a tremendously busy time for everybody, but that includes tax preparers, it includes the IRS. And I think, Susan, to your point about empowerment, it is really natural in a system that's intimidating, that you don't necessarily understand, to just assume that you're going to someone else who is the expert. And that's true, but we strongly encourage people to say, I heard about this thing, am I getting it? What is the deal with that? So that would be my one message. And then my 1.5 is take last year's return. It's always important. It's always a good idea, but especially this year, people may have been through different tough housing situations. Like there's been a lot of stress, right? It would be really easy to say, do I really have to go hunt around in a box somewhere for last year's return? This year, you really do. There could be thousands of dollars on the line. So that would be my 1.5.
That's excellent. And that's the other thing is, back to the point of this should not be a one and done, one tweet, one Facebook post, one message. It needs to be a continuous drumbeat. And there's plenty of one of the things that you'll see when you look at both Tim's website and Tax Time Allies is we have sample posts and things that you can use to just keep it fresh and keep it new. Okay, one other question?
We have two more questions. I think they'll both be pretty short. The first one is, will the tax season be extended?
I'm thinking, Nancy, you want to answer that.
I know of no plans to extend it at this time. We did just extend the filing deadline for the state of Texas, and I believe for the state of Oklahoma because of disaster declaration and the extreme weather that they had. But if you need more time to file, all you need to do is file an extension, and you can have until October 15th, and that's free for everyone. And Free File, by the way, anyone can use Free File to file an extension, and that's Form 4868, and you can file it and have until October 15th.
Excellent. Okay, so one last question.
Where can we access the testimonial video?
Oh, on Tax Time Allies. I love that question. On taxtimeallies.org. And many thanks to the Vita partners that participated in that. That's where we got those videos. So with that, let me close out and remind everybody, we will be sending a follow-up email with all of the information that we've provided today. We'll also have a recording of this video that you can use to share with others. We'd love for you to do that. And whatever you need, we're happy to help in any way that we can. And just one last pitch for March 17th being National Vita Day. Send your best wishes to Rebecca and to the IRS for all that they do. Thank you all for joining, and have a great rest of the tax season.